This is a mini lesson designed to help you with the main part of the lesson so that you have an easier time doing the shading. You're going to be doing or working with something called a value chart.
Value charts are really helpful, especially when you're working with a new material or you're going to be doing a lot of shading, which we are in the next part of the project. Value charts are very simple. They're not meant to be difficult, and they really shouldn't take that long to do, but they get your hand and your mind trained and remind you of how hard to press and things like that. So we're gonna make a quick one. All you're gonna need is a scrap piece of paper. It doesn't even have to be very big. This is almost a half sheet of paper. I just grabbed it. It was left over from another project. You're gonna want an eraser, you're gonna want a pencil, and you're gonna want a straight edge. It does not have to be a ruler. It just makes it a little bit nicer to have some straight lines. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna make a very long rectangle. And I'm gonna make mine as thick as the ruler. So I'm gonna use the ruler as the thickness. You want a long skinny rectangle. And you're gonna wanna divide it up into 5 boxes. Roughly about the same size. So those are roughly about the same size. The first one is gonna have a W. The last one is gonna be a BK. Okay? W for white, BK for black. Values are just how light or dark something is. So we're gonna use our pencil because shading is part of the next part of the project. You gotta be able to go from white to black. In the case of what we're working with a regular graphite pencil. Generally, it's what we call a number 2 pencil because that's the most regular pencil that most people have. And technically, we can't actually get to black, but we can get a really dark gray out of it. What I want us to do is go in here, and you're gonna go in and make the lightest gray. So this will be LG for light gray. The next one would be medium gray, and then the dark gray. Okay. And the first one, box here with the light gray, is going to be as light as you can possibly make it. So as you notice, I'm using the side of my pencil, and I'm going to go as super light, just barely enough that you can see it. In fact, in the video it may be tricky to see the value of it. Box. Again, this is just about as big as the ruler. My very first box here, the W is white, paper's white. I don't need to really change it. All right, so my medium. I'm gonna hold it the same way, but I can press a little bit harder, and I generally like to go layers. So my first layer is a little bit darker than second layer just to make a noticeable difference. You can do this with just pressure, but layering is a little bit easier to do in the long run because if you make a mistake, it's easier to fix. The harder you press with your pencil, the harder it is to get rid of those marks. That's a good medium. All right, so I'm gonna go in and come in with a dark gray. Alright, so I have white, light, medium, dark, and then I want to go as dark as I can. Again, it's kind of best to do this in layers, but I know I can press a little bit harder to start off with. But going too hard, too fast can rip your paper. Most of you know that feeling when you've worked on a paper so long and something rips because you went too hard with the pencil. Okay, so I need you to do one of these. This should take you just a couple of minutes, that's all. It doesn't have to be super neat. I mean, you can go in and clean up your edges, but this is gonna get your hand and your mind in the right space for using values when it comes to shading in the next part of the project. Okay, so just use a scrap piece of paper, make a quick value chart for me, snap a photo of it, upload it to this week's assignment as well as the other part of the project that you need to do. This is just kind of an added piece to get you practiced and in the right frame of mind to do the project. All right, on to the next part.